Have you ever gone out of your Skyrim hut to meander and thrive with the local townspeople, to really understand who you'll be spending your whole Skyrim life with? Well, if you have, I'm pretty certain that you've met some interesting characters. For the most part, the Skyrim journey is somewhat simple. You get in, kill some dragons, and steal some cheese wheels, as well as Fusro some guards off a cliff. But when you come across certain characters, yes, I'm talking about you, Nazim.
Out of my way, outsider. I swear.
Quiet.
I'm sorry, what?
Shut up. Now, scurry away before I lose my temper.
I don't have to take this from the likes of you. Ah! Help! Someone! Help me! Help me!
Then throughout your gaming journey, you might just want to hit your head against the nearest mead barrel. So why not try to understand who really has the IQ of Isaac Newton, or who has the brain capacity of Wile E. Coyote? To truly understand if someone is either smart or stupid, there are telltale signs that have to be seen to make a safe guess. So I've decided to use this scale to my advantage, ranging from idiotic, in which their conversations are weak and unexciting, to their overall look being judged as well. And then on the other end of the scale we have the top class, your Albert Einsteins. These characters show visible signs of knowledge, expertise within Skyrim, and who ultimately just look like someone who is really smart. But nevertheless, to actually rank characters, we need to go and talk to them, and I suggest we start in a little known place called Whiterun. In the quest to find some of the smartest and idiotic characters, I have travelled to the quaint city of Whiterun. Upon arrival, I spoke with this handsome gentleman named Idolaf, and after talking with him, I can honestly say that after listening to the argument he had with Adriana, where he did not back down to ill wishes, he's a pretty smart cookie. But I don't like his voice, so I'm probably going to bump a few points off for that. But hey, at least he's a Battleborn. See, this is what I mean. Even though I still don't like his voice, he stands tall, like he knows what he's talking about. And going off the criteria, first we see that he initiated the conversation, which is a good sign that he's on track to be a 5. However, after a bit of researching, I can safely say that we as the player are around 5 foot and 10 inches. When talking to Idolaf, he does stand over us, which means I'm going to estimate that he sits at around 6 foot. But before the ranking, here's probably one of my favourite quotes from Idolaf throughout the whole game.
Come on, father. There's nothing more to be said here.
Idolaf is a tall, firm and hard-working warrior who doesn't back down from a lot of things, and he can initiate a conversation. So Idolaf Battleborn sits at a 4 on the SAD-SCRS scaling ranking system. However, after coming across Idolaf, I decided to stop the game, delete all the save files and then restart from the introduction. Because I thought to myself, usually where would be the dumbest characters in a video game? The beloved introduction, where it is understood that you are mistaken as a rebel when trying to cross the border, and are ultimately taken to be executed. You are with 3 other people, Ralof, Lokir, and Ulfric Stormcloak. Personally, Ralof seems to be one of the smarter ones in the cart. I couldn't really get an idea about Ulfric, given he had his mouth covered up, but Google and Reddit seem to believe that he's very switched on, so I'll take their word for it. Now about this guy, Lokir. If you've played much Skyrim, you would know that in this seemingly endless cart ride, he loves to talk, much to the belief of Ralof. But mostly, his chatter is just crying after crying and after crying, and it gets to a point where what he is saying just doesn't really need to be said. But anyway, he might be smart, but we really don't know, because you can't judge someone based off words. There has to be some actions as well. But I guess his actions are pretty useless too. So Lockyer comes in at around about a 2, labelling himself as a Skyrim NPC with just under an average intelligence. And now for the Skyrim stupidest quote of the day.
Still alive, prisoner? Keep close to me if you want to stay that way.
This was said by Hadvar after the small town was attacked by the dragon Alduin. For the verdict, this was an absolutely stupid thing to say while looking straight at me. Of course I'm going to be still alive. He's lucky this isn't in the actual segment. Moving on, I decided to travel to another little village called Solitude, located in the northwest corner of the Skyrim map. You would think that a place called Solitude within a video game would have some pretty smart characters, so I went in with a seemingly open mind. When I arrived, I decided to go into the local clothes shop, Radiant Raymer, to find some awesome shoewear. But to my surprise, I was introduced very abruptly to the co-owner of the place, Endari, who immediately made it known that I, nor anyone else, was welcome to shop at her store. Quite frankly, my first interaction with her was beyond rude. I thought as a co-owner of a clotheswear store, you would actually want people to come and buy your items. But I guess not. Maybe in Solitude it's just a crime to buy any sort of clothing. However, with the way she spoke to me, I ultimately forgot what I was there for in the first place. So I quickly got my pen and notebook and started writing down all the information. Rude to customers, unwilling to engage in any form of chatter, and obviously doesn't want money. And she's shorter than me. I don't know, with all this information and looking at the scale, I would say she's about a 4? No, I'm sorry, I was just kidding. I'm putting her as a 2. Not entirely hopeless, but not at all smart in any way, shape or form.
So back to the town of Whiterun. As I'm sure most of you know, there is an interesting character that resides in this Skyrim city. An NPC who for the most cases has had multiple soul videos made about him. I'm sure you can guess who I'm talking about, but if you haven't, I'm talking about Nazim. Nazim lives in the upstairs room of the Drunken Huntsman in Whiterun. He owns the Chillfurrow farm with his wife Alarm, and he's very wealthy within the Skyrim community. However, to rank Nazim, I've had to do away with the rating scale, as Nazim to the eye is a very smart man. But once we actually know who he is, well...
Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you don't.
So in my very first meeting with Nazim, he immediately comes off as a rich snob who chooses to throw a few snarky comments as you mosey on by, much like Endari. However, unlike Endari, Nazim just doesn't seem to understand how to be nice to people. And on a more serious note, it might just be me, but he kind of looks unhappy. It also seems that he hates outsiders as well. But funny thing is that every line and dialogue this character has is directed towards you as the character being less of a person. He also finds it much to his importance to nosy around Whiterun and complain about all the things he doesn't like. For example, he would comment on the meat food stall because he was skeptical that he doesn't use elven spices on them. That's gotta be a joke, right? Despite Nazim's community-driven nature, he also finds it quite amusing to tell Carlotta that her produce is disappointing and she'd get better crops from his farm. So after finding all this about Nazim, it's safe to say I can see why Skyrim players are allowed to kill him. Nazim's lavish looks and voice makes him very hard to miss if you're ever in Whiterun, but he is one of the most memorable characters in Skyrim, just for all the wrong reasons. So with all this known, Nazim, the Whiterun wealthy farmer, is going to be crowned Skyrim's biggest village idiot, putting his rating at a -10 on the Skyrim smartest and dumbest rating scale. Congratulations, Nazim. So with Nazim being crowned the biggest village idiot, and Idilaf Battleborn being a 4 on the smartest and dumbest Skyrim scale, it's safe to say that in this episode we didn't meet anyone who really topped the list. But if you think about it, Nazim did in fact top something, just from the bottom of the barrel.